Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Wrestling Discussions. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Monday Night Raw last night, going into New Year's Evil tonight, and we're also going to be discussing a little bit regarding that of who might be the one to defeat Roman Reigns. Now, I've been talking about this for a while, and I'm actually going to go ahead and jump right into that. I've been talking these past couple of episodes about who I think might beat Roman Reigns. Well, here recently it was just informed that there is a very, very strong possibility that a Monday Night Raw superstar, it was actually Tasha Steelz from Impact, former Impact World's Knockout Champion, took to social media and essentially said that she thinks it'll be a Monday Night Raw superstar to take the titles away from Roman Reigns. That Monday Night Raw superstar being none other than Cody Rhodes. Now, it's safe to say Cody Rhodes will be back at the Royal Rumble. There's been a number of hints. In fact, we even saw him on Monday Night Raw last night. Now, him beating Roman Reigns, I think it's very possible. However, I think it's still very early in his return. I would much rather see Seth Rollins win first and then Cody Rhodes, but again, this is just my personal opinion. I have no idea what Triple H has in store. I have no idea what the rest of the WWE creative team has in store. This is just my opinion, and personally, I think it would make more sense to hold off on Cody Rhodes just a little while longer. Now, going into Monday Night Raw, we opened up the show with Kevin Owens, and that was very intriguing, right? We saw Kevin Owens open up the show, and we saw Kevin Owens not only open up the show, but he started the show with a match, and that match was none other than Kevin Owens versus the modern day wrestling god. Now, personally, the modern day wrestling god Baron Corbin is probably one of my favorite things going. Many people, I actually just saw this comment the other day. Well, actually, I just saw it this morning, actually. Someone had said that they think that the Corbin and Owens match last night was one of the best work. It was like Corbin's best work that he's done in a while. Personally, I disagree with that. I think Corbin's been doing some of his best work throughout since becoming this modern-day wrestling god. I think his matches with Drew McIntyre, his matches with Dolph Ziggler, his matches with Cedric Alexander, Akira Tozawa, Johnny Gargano, etc., 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 I think all have been very entertaining, all have been very powerful and trend-setting, and I think this is just the beginning. I think Kevin Owens getting a victory over Baron Corbin is not only huge, but I think it's also important because it's important to know that if Owens loses to Roman Reigns, which in my opinion he most likely will, that he can come back and he'll probably continue a rivalry with that of Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin is someone who you can tell he's always looking for new story. He's always looking for new challenges, new opponents, because right now he's in that position where he isn't exactly challenging people. He isn't exactly calling people out. Eventually, I think we could very well see Baron Corbin move his name down the long list of people and potentially become the new United States champion at some point. I think we will 100% see that by the end of 2023. That is just my personal opinion, my personal prediction. I think we will see Baron Corbin become WWE United States champion by the end of 2023. Now, after the match, as I already stated, Kevin Owens won against Baron Corbin, but after the match, the Usos and Solo Sikoa attacked Kevin Owens. And Kevin Owens actually did a very well job in fending off the Usos and Solo Sikoa. He fended off the bloodline. Now, obviously, he's going to fight Sami Zayn this Friday, which I'll give more predictions on, later on as the build-up comes, but I think he did a great job against the Bloodline last night. On top of that, I think it was a very entertaining attack by the Bloodline. And I think Adam Pearce getting involved and saying, this isn't going to happen again. No, 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 no. I really like the anger that Adam Pearce is feeling because he is letting it all out on the Bloodline. He is giving them match after match. and he wants them gone. You can tell. And I think it's, in my personal opinion, I think it's long-term storytelling, because Adam Pearce and Roman Reigns have kind of been feuding with one another going all the way back to 2020. And so I think this specifically is very huge for that of Adam Pearce and the Bloodline. I think this is some long-term storytelling. Now, while talking to the Bloodline backstage, Adam Pearce said he was going to make a gauntlet match. The winner of this gauntlet match is going to fight the Usos for the Undisputed Tag Team titles. Now, obviously, this was the main event, but I will talk about it right now anyways. The Judgment Day were the team to win. Now, personally, I think the Judgment Day... I think all members of the Judgment Day are great, even Dominic Mysterio, and I know some people will argue with me on that, but I think Dominic Mysterio is in a better position right now than he was with Rey. And it's not to say that him and Rey weren't good together. It's to say that he is in a whole new environment, and he is slowly but steadily learning. And whether people want to disagree with that or they want to agree with that, that's fine. People can say, listen, I don't like Dominic Mysterio. And they can say, listen, I think he's a terrible actor. And I understand. I think he's made a lot of mistakes. And there's a lot of things that he's done that have made me cringe and be like, oh, I don't like this. But I also think he is learning. And he is slightly improving. And he is having these moments that no one else could have if you weren't Dominic Mysterio, right? Because Dominic Mysterio is someone that he just is getting hated on right now. And it's due to the sole fact that this man assaulted his own father on television. And he's mocked his dad, and he's hit his dad, and he's abused his dad, and he attacked Edge, and he's beaten Edge, and he's done this, and he's done that. And I think it's so effing entertaining. I really do. I think it's very entertaining. I think the idea that so many people want to see this Dominic Mysterio versus Rey Mysterio match at WrestleMania, this father versus son match, I think that's huge. Now, all that being said, I think that's a great factor there. I think Damian Priest, enough said there. I think he is fantastic in the ring. I think he's been doing nothing but improving, especially since Triple H came in charge. Same with Finn Balor. I think Finn Balor is certainly on his A game right now. I think Finn Balor is in a whole nother universe in the sense that his matches are, like his match with AJ Styles, that was considered to be much bigger, right? Same with his match with Edge. Like, that's something beyond that of Edge versus Damian Priest or Edge versus Dominic Mysterio. That was something beyond that. And that goes to show where Finn Balor is on the totem pole, considering his long run in the main roster for how many years. Now, all that being said, I think I've said this for a while, not on here, but to myself, I've said this for a while. The Judgment Day are a very ideal team to fight the Usos, and I think this is a long time coming. I think we need more Raw tag teams to fight the Usos. I think 100% put the Judgment Day in there. Put the Judgment Day in there. 100%. I think they are one of the best teams to pull this off. I think the Judgment Day has all of the power, all of the athleticism. And honestly, could you imagine if they fought the Usos and that is when Edge comes back? That is when Edge makes his great return? Like, could you imagine if that's when it all goes down? Because I think that would be some of the most entertaining shit ever. I think people would love that because not only does Edge already have a fueled up reason, but it would only fuel the Judgment Day even more for wanting to get rid of Edge even more than they already do. I think that would be great. Now, we also saw Alexa Bliss and Uncle Howdy kind of have some weird confrontation, and this is, again, to kind of show, is Alexa Bliss truly in control? Alexa said some things that makes me think she's not. She said the evil is hers, which obviously was a saying that she always said when she wasn't in control. And so I think it's safe to say we're going back to Dark Alexa. We're going back to Playground Alexa. We're going back to Alexa being controlled by that of the Fiend, by that of Bray Wyatt, and by that of this newcomer known as Uncle Howdy. Now, all of that being said, I think Alexa Bliss is great either or. I think her storyline is great either way. And personally, I think Alexa Bliss is a great and tremendous wrestler. I honestly think this is good for her because I think her wrestling only gets better when she is in this mode, because this is her let's take this seriously, let's give it everything we have, and let's not give up until I get that belt around my waist type persona. And I think 100% Alexa Bliss has the ability and the wherewithal to survive in this environment and 100% continue with that storyline. I think many people loved that storyline, and I think many people want to see Dark Alexa, and I certainly do. I think it'd be interesting, without a doubt. I think it would be very interesting, and same with this Uncle Howdy character. I really like how Uncle Howdy is the one that is trying to summon Alexa Bliss, because it seems to me like Bray Wyatt is focused on Bray Wyatt, while Uncle Howdy is almost trying to get the band back together. He's trying to resummon all these old souls, and that's interesting to me. And the fact that Uncle Howdy was on a Monday Night Raw is even more interesting to me, because it makes you question, when all of this is said and done, what's going to happen with this Uncle Howdy character? Like, where's he going to go? That's very, very intriguing to me. Now, we also saw a little bit between Michin and Damage Control. Now, we saw this last Monday as well when Michin stood up with Becky Lynch and fought against Damage Control. I think it's safe to say that Michin is under Damage Control's radar now. And I think Damage Control are going to try to send a message to Becky Lynch through Michin. Now, I think this is also good for Michin because obviously with AJ Styles being out for a while, the OC is kind of in shambles. Gallows and Anderson kind of on their own right now. Michin kind of on her own right now. And that's important to kind of point out, because that means that going into this rivalry with Damage Control, this is going to be big for her, because this could, if she does well in this rivalry, this could put her over for title matches. This could put her over going in towards the Royal Rumble. And again, it's hard to say because there really is no, in my opinion, there really is no idea of who could potentially be the Royal Rumble winner for the women's division yet. I really don't have an idea nor a concept of it. Personally, I would love for it to be Becky Lynch, just because of the idea of Becky challenging Charlotte Flair. I would love to see that. I would also love to see it be Bayley, because I think Bayley deserves it more than anything. Or even if it was Charlotte or Bianca, and I know that's weird to say, but seriously, say it was Charlotte or Bianca, and we had another winner takes all and another unified titles match. That would be huge. That would be interesting. That would be very, mind investing. Like, I would love to sit there and see that unfold, right? That type of thing. Now, again, we saw Michin get dismantled by Damage Control. She also had a match with Bayley. Bayley being the victor of said match, which I do like, because I like that Bayley is being treated as that of a veteran. She's being treated as that of a knowledge intellectual in the wrestling ring. And I like that because I think Bayley, out of all the four horsewomen, I think Bayley truly lives up to that name, to the idea of being a four horsewoman. And I think that Bayley personifies that more than that of Charlotte Flair, more than that of Becky Lynch, more than that of Sasha Banks. And I know some people might get mad at me for saying that, but I really do think that Bayley is the one. I think she is the woman to kind of just take the card she was dealt and just transcend further and further. And I think she has 100% earned her spot to where she is right now. And I would love to see her be champion one more time, one day. I would love to see that. Now, going into some other things we saw Austin Theory and Seth Rollins cut a little bit of a promo. Seth Rollins was on one leg. It's safe to say that Seth is genuinely injured. It's also, however, safe to say that Seth is in a position right now where his knee, like he said, should be 100% by the Royal Rumble, which is good to hear. I think it's safe to say that Seth's knee is injured, but I think it's also safe to say that it's nothing bad. It's not a torn ACL, not a torn MCL, not a torn meniscus. I think, if anything, it's safe to say that he just sprained his knee, if that's possible, or he just tweaked it in some way to the point where he needs to kind of lay off for a couple weeks, get into the Royal Rumble. And that's something else that's interesting to me. This idea of Austin Theory being the United States champion, he's transcending that. Because in his promo work, he mentioned to Seth, he wants to be U.S. champ, but he wants more than that as well. And he wants to transcend and go into the Royal Rumble and win the Royal Rumble. And these are honestly, in my opinion, the first three guys to really start saying that. And I say three because Bobby Lashley later on returns, comes out, takes down Austin Theory. All three men in this segment declared themselves in the Royal Rumble, essentially. Austin Theory said he was going to be in the Royal Rumble, and then he was going to win it. Seth Rollins said he was going to be in the Royal Rumble, and then he was going to win it. Bobby Lashley said that he was going to be in the Royal Rumble, and he was going to win it. I think out of all three of those, I think Seth is the one everyone should be looking at the closest. And I say that because if Seth Rollins can somehow survive the return of Cody Rhodes at the Royal Rumble, and Cody gets eliminated and Seth is still in the match, then in my personal opinion, I think it's safe to say Seth Rollins will go to WrestleMania and fight Roman Reigns. And I know this might be weird, but could you imagine Seth freaking Rollins versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania? Like, seriously. The one match that I think everyone deserves more than anything, the build-up that this match would have had all the way since 2015 WrestleMania, it could finally be Roman Reigns' vengeance. Roman Reigns' vengeance. Seth Rollins ruining his WrestleMania moment. He could finally get his WrestleMania moment against Seth. You know what I mean? That would be interesting. His WrestleMania vengeance on Seth Rollins. That would be interesting to me. I would love to see that. I want to see that. Again, though, we could also very well potentially see Bobby Lashley do very well. We could potentially see Austin Theory do very well. Now, going into more of this Bobby Lashley situation, not only did he come back, later on he went backstage. MVP was kind of trying to talk to him a little bit and mentioning bringing back the Hurt Business. Now, Bobby seemed to have denied this, but only for that of the time being. I think maybe one day we'll see the Hurt Business come back, and that day might be sooner than we think. However, I don't think it's going to be anytime soon, in the sense that I think it's safe to say that the Hurt Business coming back together will most likely be after that of the Royal Rumble. Now, on top of all of that, going into the Hurt Business a little bit more, Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander were in the gauntlet match, unfortunately did not win, but it's nice to see them as a tag team again. It's nice to see them try and get tag team gold, because I think it's nice to see all the teams on Monday Night Raw kind of come together, band together, and be like, we want next against the Usos. And that's why I love the idea of the Judgment Day being the number one contenders to the Usos titles right now. Because they are, in my opinion, the best team on Monday Night Raw so far that has been proving themselves week in, week out. Now, we also saw Mustafa Ali and Dolph Ziggler backstage. They were essentially, from what I heard Mustafa Ali say, Adam Pearce gave Dolph Ziggler the opportunity for Dolph and Ali to work together as a team, as a unit, and fight the Bloodline. And go into this gauntlet match for the potential to fight the Usos. Dolph Ziggler turned him down. Ali was upset, and I understand why. This was a tag team title shot for Ali if they could have won. And on top of that, I think, it's like Ali said, Dolph kind of owes him. Dolph costed Ali the US belt as well. However, all of this being said, I also think Ali needs to earn himself more opportunities rather than blaming other people towards his losses and towards his failures in these said opportunities. Dolph Ziggler has always owned up to his failings, right? And I think that's where if we do see Dolph and Ali team up, I think that's where we could see Dolph kind of be the veteran of this and say, listen, kid, listen to me. And it's not to like be overbearing, but just, Dolph has a great mind for this. And Ziggler is personally one of my favorite wrestlers in the world. And I think he deserves so much more than what he's given. And I really hope that eventually down the line he gets a huge opportunity. Now, he did fight Solo Sikoa in singles action in what was personally a longer match than I had anticipated. And I really like what they're doing with Solo Sikoa. They're making Solo Sikoa an unstoppable force of nature while also allowing his opponents to put themselves over slightly. I mean, his match with Elias was pure perfection. His match with Ziggler was honestly really well done. I think Solo Sikoa has a great way of being this unstoppable force of nature, but also giving his opponents the chance and making the world and the audience around him think that, oh my god, we might actually see Solo Sikoa lose tonight. And then, nope, he takes that hope away from you and shoves it right in your face and says, nah, I'm not losing tonight, and I'm going to keep winning for the bloodline, for my tribal chief, for Roman Reigns, the head of the table. And I like that concept, I think that's a good concept. Now, from what I remember... Oh, there was one more thing from what I remember. Rhea Ripley and Candice LeRae. Now, Rhea Ripley and Candice LeRae obviously go way back, all the way back into NXT. They are great friends. Honestly, I think they make better enemies. My hope is that Candice LeRae does not get dropped from this, in the sense that my hope is that this isn't just to put Rhea Ripley over into the Royal Rumble. My hope is that this is to take Rhea Ripley and take Candice LeRae and build something out of this. Now, obviously, this idea of the Royal Rumble coming up and Rhea Ripley confronting Candice LeRae about the Royal Rumble, I think it's safe to say that Rhea Ripley is a very huge prospect for the Royal Rumble, considering she was supposed to fight Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship, and she never did, due to injury, unfortunately. And so I think it would be great to see Rhea Ripley fight for the fight at WrestleMania via winning the Royal Rumble. On top of that, though, I also think Candice LeRae deserves a lot more than what she's getting right now. I think she's a great athlete, a great wrestler, and I think she needs to be transcended into something bigger. I want to see Candice LeRae and Rhea Ripley go back into their roots and really dig out this rivalry that they have. And I want to see Candice LeRae get a victory over Rhea Ripley. Personally, knowing right now what WWE is doing, I think Rhea Ripley's not going to fight Candice next week, if not for a long time. And Candice might not even be on TV next week, which angers me. Now, all that being said, I am also going to mention, while I'm on here, unfortunately, Johnny Gargano, husband to Candice LeRae, and another great athlete and great wrestler, is unfortunately injured. Now, all that being said, it does seem that there is hope that he'll be back by the Royal Rumble. So, it seems to me like it's not too much of an extensive injury, but it is extensive to the point where there is some slight worry that he may or may not be in the Rumble match. I hope he is. I think the idea of Johnny Gargano in the Royal Rumble would be great, and I'm really looking forward to this year's Rumble. Honestly, I'm very, very excited, and I'm very hopeful for it. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into New Year's Evil. Now, I'm not going to go over the entire card for New Year's Evil, but I am going to go over the 2 title matches, plus the contenders match for the Women's Championship. So, we are going to see Braun Breaker versus sorry, drawing a blank there for a minute. Braun Breaker versus that of Grayson Waller. That's his name. Sorry, guys. Drew a blank there for a second. Braun Breaker versus Grayson Waller for the NXT Championship. Now, I've said this before. I kind of like the idea of Grayson Waller versus Braun Breaker. Prediction-wise, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to go with Grayson Waller. I want Braun Breaker to win, but I feel as though that it is New Year's Evil. It is a huge event. Grayson Waller he seems to be scrappy. He seems to, just when you think you can't hate him anymore, he makes you hate him even more by doing something you don't want him to do in terms of accomplishments. If Grayson Waller could accomplish the NXT Championship tonight, I think people would hate him even more. And I think Triple H and the rest of the WWE in the back, and Shawn Michaels and Road Dogg and everyone watching and everyone in charge of NXT sees that. And so I think that Grayson Waller is I think he's a good potential to win tonight, and I'm going to go with Grayson Waller. I am. I think Braun Breaker's been NXT champion long enough. I'm going to go Grayson Waller. Now, as for the NXT North American Championship, tonight we will see Dijak versus Tony D'Angelo for the number 1 contender spot to fight Wes Lee for the NXT North American Championship. Honestly, prediction-wise, obviously, I'm going to go with Dijak. I think Dijak is one of the biggest stars in professional wrestling, and I think the NXT North American Championship has been his calling from day one. I mean, it's been the title he's always looked towards, and I think 100%, I think he's going to go straight to the top of the mountain and try and get that title within his grasp. Now, one last match I'm going to go over, and that is the match of the Women's Battle Royal. Now, I don't know who all's going to be in the Battle Royal, but I am going to give you guys my main prospects on who's going to fight Roxanne Perez for the NXT Women's Championship first. I think it could be Cora Jade, Alba Fire. There's a couple people I can't remember the names of. I'm going to go with Cora Jade, Alba Fire, maybe even, no, I'm going to go with Cora Jade, Alba Fire, I'm also going to go with, if I can remember her name, I'm also going to go with, you know what, screw it, I'm going to lay them all out on the table. Nikita Lyons, Zoe Stark, Cora Jade, Wendy Chu, and even, like I said already, Alba Fire, as well as, I forget her name, the girl that Alba Fire has been feuding with on NXT 2.0. Let me see here real quick, guys. I apologize for the disruption. Isla Dawn, that's her name. I think Isla Dawn is also a great prospect. Out of the ones I just mentioned, I gotta go with, personally, for the very first match. I mentioned a lot of good ones, but I gotta go strongly with either Alba Fire or Isla Dawn, maybe Cora Jade. But personally, Nikita Lyons, Zoe Stark, I think they have to do some of their own feuding first. I don't think it's their time yet. Maybe we'll see another women's wrestler kind of come up. Maybe Tiffany Stratton. I think she's been semi-promising. We could see her do a little more. That would certainly be interesting. I'd certainly be down for that, 100%. All that being said, though, those are my predictions. And, comment down below, your guys' predictions, and I'll go over the results with NXT New Year's Evil tomorrow in tomorrow's episode, and I'll also be discussing the match card for tomorrow night's AEW Dynamite. I'll be discussing that on tomorrow's episode and giving my predictions on that. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you, as always, for tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.